Tennessee. This is a first. Wow, I just crossed the Mississippi River. I can't believe it.
This trip has been filled with firsts. I'm moseying toward my next national park destination, Congaree National Park, 850 miles to the east in the heart of South Carolina. Touchpoint number 3 will come shortly after that, and that's to reach the Atlantic Ocean. There's so much to see, so let's start with another first. On my way out of Arkansas, I saw signs for the Clinton Presidential Library.
Welcome to downtown Little Rock. So I've always wondered what happens or what goes on in a presidential library. Is it like a collection of the books that the president like to read, or what's in there? So I've never visited a presidential library, so let's go on in and see what there is to see.
I would say that this is more of a museum than a library. I was taken back to world events of 30 years ago. Can you believe that? 30 years ago? Among the coolest stuff here was a presidential limousine. I mean, I didn't know presidents got to keep these. Also, there's a life-size cabinet room where you can sit and hold a meeting with your secretaries of you name it. And there's also a life-size Oval Office. I thought the Oval Office was pretty high on the cool scale because I've really only seen them on TV, and now I could see what it might be like to stand up in the real one. I was here at the library for maybe 90 minutes, and I'd say it's well worth the stop. You'll remember by now that I do not have any lodging reservations between national parks. As I made my way across Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, there was unseasonably cold weather with night temperatures getting down to the mid-20s. Fortunately, there wasn't any snow or freezing rain, just cold. I managed just fine finding places where I had power to run my heaters. I wondered if this cold would be beneficial in keeping the bugs away in Congaree National Park. I mean, it is in a floodplain after all, like the Everglades. Another notable stop was Stone Mountain Park just east of Atlanta. 20 years ago, I was in Atlanta for a conference, and my boss back then, Ken, spent a lot of time in Georgia, and I remember him mentioning way back then that Stone Mountain is a good place to visit. So I did a Google search and was pleased to find the park included a giant campground. Now that spring break is over, campsites there are widely available. I wasn't disappointed at all. In fact, I stayed 2 nights, and I think this site was a bingo.
Okay, apparently that is Stone Mountain there. Pretty obviously, but you can take a sky ride up. Or you could walk up to the top of the mountain. The reason why I'm wearing all this is because it's 30 degrees out. It's cold. But I'll be walking uphill, so hopefully I'll warm myself up. So let's get going. Okay, I think I'm reaching the summit because I see a cell phone tower ahead. Whew. This is a big, gigantic granite slab that I'm walking on. I think they said it's, I don't know how many trillions of tons this thing is, but yeah. Here we are at the top. Whew.
Though windy and but cold, the hike was well worth it for the views, and way off to the west, about 15 miles away, you could see the city of Atlanta.
Okay, this place is like big. There's a museum. There's Dinosaur Explorer. And then restaurants and an inn and gardens and paths, and this is really cool. Okay.
An activity I highly recommend is hiking the Cherokee Trail around Stone Mountain. This 5-mile hike takes you by a lot of really interesting park features, including a historical museum, a beautiful glade with a grist mill, an abandoned granite quarry, a covered bridge, and of course the giant granite carvings featuring Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, and Jefferson Davis. I got another camping bingo as I approached the border with South Carolina. I got a magnificent lakeside site at Mistletoe State Park. Here, they allow mountain bikers on all park trails. Finally, some excellent trail riding. There's a variety of mountain biking trails here from easier to moderately difficult. Nothing really too technical, which at my age I don't do anymore anyway. I had a great time spending several hours exploring this park's trails by mountain bike. I gotta hand it to Georgia for their parks. They were outstanding. Okay, with no further ado, let's explore National Park number 45 in the heart of South Carolina, Congaree National Park. Congaree National Park is a small national park and is known for two things. First is the mosquito meter. The park is in a floodplain, which to some might be called a swamp. So you can imagine the bugs here can be unbearable. Remember that I just came from that cold snap, which I think kept the bug level very low. Luckily for me, it was a beautiful, sunny 85 degrees here, and there were no bugs. Second, Congaree is well known for this 2.5-mile boardwalk through the floodplain, which offers a very accessible way for families to experience the park and observe wildlife. Now, I'm not a reptile man, so I was okay not seeing any snakes or alligators, but I did get to see a rare barred owl, Barred, and a red-headed pileated woodpecker. These are my new friends Steve and Charlotte from Washington State, but currently living in Virginia. We helped each other spot the birds and had fun chatting along the trail, so shout out to you guys if you're watching. The outstanding weather and lack of bugs created the perfect opportunity to experience the park overnight. I decided on the spot to stay in one of the two campgrounds at the park because I brought my backcountry camping equipment with me. Congaree does not offer RV camping, so I decided to abandon the comforts of my RPod and rough it for a night in a tent. Yes, you heard it here, tent camping. My RV is parked 45 minutes away at Poinsett State Park, and I'll reunite with the park hopper there tomorrow.
Okay, this is my abode for the night, so let me give you a tour. Um, Over here we have the kitchen, complete with water, and there's some food in there. The bedroom is over there. This is the living room here, and this is the patio. Yeah, here we are for a night. It's super good when you're starving. Okay, I'm in my tent at Congaree National Park for an overnight, the old-fashioned way. I don't know if you can hear it, but the crickets are really out. And it's so cool to be just listening for a while. And not having the distractions of phones and computers and laptops and stuff like that. I do miss my hot shower, so I'll be glad to get back to my RPod. But for a night, this is great. Good morning, everybody. It's 6 a.m. and I had an okay night. I got a few hours of sleep here in the tent. And I am so glad I did this, because one of the themes of this trip is to just get out there and explore. And when I do stuff like this, it makes me feel like I really get to experience the park and learn more about the park. And I got to see the stars through the canopy of the trees, and I heard owls hooting and crickets were really loud. So the sun will come up pretty soon, and I'm just going to enjoy the morning noises now. You know, I bought these several years ago, like 5 years ago. They still taste pretty good. Check the expiration date. Best by April 2051. This thing's gonna outlast me.